Yo, what's going on, guys? In today's video I want to talk about mechanics of endgame bosses in Torchlight Infinite, and most importantly, how to kill them. Obviously, if you have enough DPS, when you have pretty good gear, then you can just kill every single boss within seconds and you don't really care about his abilities. They're just gonna die pretty much instantly. But what if you just fight them for the first time, you don't have that much DPS and you don't know his abilities? Then you pretty much have to rely on your knowledge of his abilities and on your skill. So in this video I want to basically explain every single ability of these endgame bosses and hopefully show you how to be able to kill them without having too much of DPS. Obviously there's a lot of these bosses, and I'm not talking about the map bosses, just the endgame bosses. So I might have to make this video in two parts. So we're gonna see how long it's gonna take. So first, let me actually talk about just overall mechanics of the bosses and which bosses I'm talking about. So there are basically three types of bosses. First one is in the Void Rift. He is called Keegan, and to fight him you basically need three of these keys. You can put them here, and they are called edicts, and there is the dart one, dive, and ruin, and when you apply three of them you can fight him and he's gonna drop some special items. And once you kill him once, then you can also apply the fourth one, which is doom, and you're gonna fight the harder version, which drops even better items. But to be honest, this boss is actually pretty hard. The one with four edicts is probably the hardest boss in the game right now, so I still haven't even killed him. And the one with three I actually killed only once, and I still don't really understand his mechanics. So in this video I'm actually not gonna talk about him. Maybe in the future, when I'm gonna learn more about this fight, then I'm gonna do it. Then second category of the bosses are the Abyss Watchers, which are basically in here. And there is 5 of them, one for each zone. There is one in Glacial Abyss, Boiling Lava, Steelforge, Thunder Waste, and Voidlands. And to fight them, you basically, here you have a counter, and after you clear this many maps, so you just have to kill a map bosses of these maps, you're gonna get the points and you're gonna be able to enter here to fight the boss. And here you can see special loot that this boss can drop. There are special cards like this one, which is gonna give some additional stage attention points, so basically these points, so you can fight these bosses faster. And the difficulty of these bosses depends on your time mark, and also how many maps you have to clear to encounter boss. So for example, in time mark 1 you only have to do 4 maps to be able to reach this boss, and also it's gonna be much harder. And in the beginning, when you're gonna start progressing your nether realm, every single time you kill the Glacial Abyss Watcher on the highest time mark you can do him, you're gonna get 1 cinder, which are here. So basically, to reach the maximum amount of cinders, you have to kill every single of these Abyss Watchers on time mark 7. Let me go back here to time mark 7, and then there is the third type of boss, which is Realm Lord. And this is basically the boss that works kind of like the Abyss Watcher, where to fight him you have to clear certain amount of maps, but to reach the Realm Lord you have to kill certain amount of Abyss Watchers. And in fact you have to clear 4 of them. So here you have 4 squares, and every time you kill Abyss Watchers this is gonna be filled, and after you kill 4 of them you can kill the Realm Lord. And his difficulty also depends on the time mark you're gonna do him. And you actually can do the same Abyss Watchers 4 times in a row. So for example, you can go to Glacial Abyss and you can kill a Glacial Abyss Watcher 4 times, and he's gonna appear here, and then you're gonna kill this boss. And the harder the difficulty, also you're gonna get better rewards. For example, here I'm gonna swap to time mark 8. Here you're gonna see better rewards. But in this video I'm gonna talk about time mark 7 difficulty, and I'm gonna show you time mark 7 difficulty fights. So let's start with the first one, and I'm gonna show you all of the fights one by one from the easiest to the hardest one. So in my opinion, the easiest one is the one with boiling lava. The second one is probably the Glacial Abyss or the Steel Forge. They are actually pretty similar in difficulty. Then the third one would be the one in Voidlands, and in my opinion, the hardest one is Thunder Waste. And also every single one of these bosses is gonna deal a certain type of damage. So Boiling Lava boss is gonna deal fire damage, Glacial Abyss is gonna be cold, Steel Forge is also gonna be fire, and Voidlands is lightning, and Thunder Waste is also lightning. So when you are fighting these bosses, make sure you have as high as you can amount of resistances for these elements. Also, part of their damage is always gonna be physical. Most of the bosses' abilities deal partially physical damage and partially one of these elements. So first, let's start with showcasing the Lava Watcher. So Ember Fire Lord. Again, this is my time mark 7. I am gonna try to not DPS them too fast so I can show you all of his abilities. So this boss has 3 phases. First one is gonna last for 30% of his life, second one for the another 30%, and the last one for 40%. And the less HP he has, so in the further phases, he's gonna start using more abilities, and his abilities are just gonna be more difficult to avoid. So you could see the first ability, which is basically as a frontal, he is just shooting 3 projectiles. He also has a charge, and now he also used a leap attack where he also does some frontal. So basically, when you're fighting this boss, try to just avoid being in front of him. If you are not in front of him, you're gonna avoid most of his abilities. So this was basically the first phase, and now I am gonna try to DPS him a bit so he reaches the second phase. So I can show you more of his abilities. Now he reached second phase, so now he is immune. I'm actually gonna remove my minions so they don't DPS him too fast. Actually, they shouldn't DPS him too much if I'm not gonna use my buffs. So now he used these circles, so basically the arena now is smaller. And also he's using this ability where he spawns fire, and this fire is just circling around, so make sure to watch out for these like fireballs so you don't get damaged by them. So again, he's now spawning 3 of them. Minions are actually pretty good for this because, as you can see, they are soaking them, so you're not gonna get hit by them. And he's still using his other abilities from the first phase, so don't stand in front of him, but also avoid these fires. Now I'm gonna wait for the big ability, which he already used once. Hopefully he's gonna use a second time. So now, again, he's just spawning the fire. Come on, use the other ability. Okay, so he reached the third phase. So now there's gonna be even more fire on the ground. So arena is basically even smaller. And now he's gonna summon 5 of these fire. So basically even less space. Now he's gonna use his the hardest ability to avoid, which is basically spawning the laser in front of him, and then it's gonna move in a circle. So basically, most of his abilities just to kill him, just never stand in front of him, and then try to avoid this fire. If you can, try to use your minions to soak them, and when you see his big ability, just don't stand in front of him to avoid the big beam. And then once the beam reaches the sides, just move around to avoid the beams. And that's basically the fight. Now let me just finish him quickly. And there we go. So this boss is, like I mentioned already, in my opinion, the easiest out of all of them. Now let's move on to the second fight, which is in Glacial Abyss. So this one is called the damage boss. So for this boss, at the beginning, try to not stay in front of him, because from what I noticed, pretty much every single time he's gonna start the fight with this ability. So he's gonna just swipe his tail and just hit everything around him. And kind of like the fire boss, he has a frontal where he spawns these cold things, but they're gonna start moving everywhere around arena. Also, he spawns these orbs, which also just move around arena. So kind of like the fire boss, he's just gonna try to make the arena smaller, but fire boss was just spawning them on the outsides, and this one is just spawning them anywhere in the middle. So again, another ability is his swipe, and these are basically all of his abilities in the first phase. So also like the fire boss, you want to damage him so he reaches the next phase. So that's what I'm gonna do. And let's try to damage him down. And as an intermission, he's gonna start doing this, which is basically shooting the beam of cross damage that you just have to avoid by moving from side to side. And that's basically, to be honest, all of his abilities. Basically, when he has less and less life, he's just gonna use more and more of these just AoE abilities, so more of these orbs are gonna be everywhere. Now you can see there is like what, 3, 4, 5, 6. There is more of these around, and also he's using his frost breath from time to time. Also from time to time he's just moving to the sides where he's just gonna shoot the projectiles, and also he's gonna shoot the waves like this. So when he is on the sides, just try to not stay in front of him. So I'm gonna DPS him a bit more. And now second time he's using his breath thing, where you just have to go to the sides to avoid taking frost damage. And now we are in the last phase, so again, even more of these things are gonna be everywhere. And that's basically it. So like I said, this boss is not super hard, but still a lot of his cold abilities can actually one-shot you if you stand in them and you don't have that much defenses. Now the third boss is gonna be in Steelforge, and this one is also fire damage. The one nice thing about this boss though is that he doesn't have any immunity phase, so like fire boss was straight up just immune, cold one would go in the air and you would not be able to damage him. Like this one, you actually can just constantly damage, so you can kill him, you don't have to wait for any phases. So this one, like I said, he's dealing fire damage, and he is gonna spawn these cyclones. So if a fight is gonna last a long time, he's just gonna spawn more and more of them, and they are also gonna move in a random direction. So sometimes they are just gonna move around, sometimes he's gonna make them move in a line, so you have to find the gap to avoid them. So sometimes they are gonna be like this in a circle. So that's basically his first ability. Second ability, you already saw it, he goes into the air like this, and then he slams the area. So this is the easy ability to avoid. And the third one is this one. You can see these orbs, so he's gonna spawn them, and after they are gonna be following you, and after some time they are gonna be released and they are gonna move towards you. So you just have to move to the sides to avoid them. And to be honest, this is probably the hardest ability to avoid, and also the hardest hitting one. So just to show you how hard they do hit, I'm gonna get hit by one, and you can see I just straight up died. And here, this is actually a pretty good tip. You can see what you died to. So here you can see he dealt 4,000 physical and almost 4,000 fire damage. And I can tell you, most of these bosses' abilities deal as a total around 4,000 damage. So if you have more than 4,000 life, you actually can survive most of the boss's abilities. But this one ability is actually crazy. It just deals so much damage. You pretty much always are gonna die, especially on time mark 7. So now let me just resurrect. Also, in case you don't know, when you are fighting these bosses, you can attempt them, I believe, 6 times. So you can die up to 6 times, and then you just enter arena back again. I'm gonna try to die here again, just to show you. Here you can see the remaining attempts, so 3. So I lost 3 already. I died 2 times, so now I am in the third one, so I can still die 3 times. So now let's just try to finish the fight. Basically, the lowest HP this boss is gonna be, more of the tornadoes he's just gonna spawn. So in terms of the difficulty, based on his life, I think this one is actually not increasing that much in difficulty when he gets lower. Maybe even not at all. It's just, it does feel like he is spawning more and more tornadoes when he has lower life. But yeah, these were basically 3 bosses I wanted to talk about in this video, and then the next video, which is the second part, I am gonna talk about the 2 remaining bosses and also the Traveler. And I want to make it as a second part because Traveler has a lot of abilities, which is probably gonna take a while. So for this video, that's gonna be it. Thanks for watching and see you next time.